Hey gamers, welcome back. Today we're going to be talking about the new Nintendo Switch. We're going to give you guys a quick overview of the system itself and a few of the games that are currently out. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into it. So what does the new Nintendo Switch come with? It comes with the console tablet itself, comes with two Joy-Cons, a left and a right Joy-Con. It also comes with two bumpers for the Joy-Cons. And actually, so the Joy-Cons are going to slide on like so. If I wanted to play like a two-player game, like a Bomberman or something like that, I could actually use these bumpers to I'm going to pop this off, player one, I got this popped off, player two, we'll pop that one off for them. And if I wanted to, I could slide this bumper on, basically extends these two buttons out in the back. You want to make sure, I'm going to get a little closer here for you to see. See that plus, that negative sign? There's also a negative sign on this bumper over here. You want to make sure you slide that on with that in mind, with it up. I did it this way with the plus sign going to a negative, and I slid it on going this way, and ends up kind of cocked, and it's not supposed to be that way. In fact, when I had a real pain of a butt of a time to get it off, and when I did, kind of bit my thumb. So that was a fun learning experience. So I won't do that again. But yeah, you just slide those on, and then it will make it a little bit, extend it out a little bit more. And to slide it on to the system, you're actually going to slide it on like so. Bing, clips right in. You hear it snap, and now it's in there nice and good. And to take it back off, you're going to press. There's a little button in the back here. You got to hold that button in, and then it just slides right off. One thing to note too, that the Joy-Cons, so they have, since they're wireless, they have batteries in them, and the only way that they're going to charge is basically if they're connected to the main system here. The main system will charge them, and depending, so the unit of course will also come with power. So either you're going to have to connect power to it in the bottom, and you'll see that this is actually a USB-C port, and connects power right here. Bam. And now when I go to plug this in, it's going to charge not only the system itself, but the Joy-Cons. The other thing that the system comes with is a docking station. So this docking station, you'll be able to slide your Nintendo Switch right into it. It's going to clip right into there. And then in the back here, we have connections for HDMI. We got our power, and we got a USB. So that USB could be used for other things like it's an extra cable. I'm not sure if a hard drive could be hooked to it, or a USB hard drive, I'm not sure yet. But yeah, so you connect your connections, you could close it up, and now if the unit was sitting in there, it'd be charging. One of the things I also wanted to show you too is that the system also comes with a Joy-Con grip. Basically what this is for, let's say I get home and I want to put this baby in here. Now it's hooked up to the TV or whatever. Pop these puppies out, and now I can slide my Joy-Cons up into the Joy-Con grip, and now I can play it more like a traditional style controller. But one of the things you have to know, even though you saw the power going up and down here, this holder, this Joy-Con grip holder, does not charge, has no ports for charging the Joy-Cons. So whenever you want to charge them, again, you're going to have to pop them out, and you're going to have to put them on the system. And then they would be charging. What else does the system come with? So that is, I feel like I'm missing some. Oh, HDMI cable. Comes with the HDMI cable. So that is all the system comes with. So some things that, one of the things that I noticed that after I was playing with it a little bit, so I got my power connected to the docking station here, and now, I'm going to hit the road. This thing, like if you're playing Zelda Breath of the Wild, it's one of the more higher resolution games, and it's going to use, I guess, the full 720p on this device. And they've been saying the battery life is about 2.5 hours, so I pretty much would agree with that. So let's say I need to charge it. The only way that the way the system comes with, the only way that you could charge it is if I yanked this out of this and I threw it in my backpack and I was taking this puppy along. But there's another way too. If you can go out to the store, like go on a website, I think even go to Walmart, they'll sell a USB cable like this. This is a USB-C to like a standard USB. And then you can use like your iPhone plug, or plug it into any USB, like on your computer or wherever, or Android device, or even portable external battery. So connect these puppies up. Like if I was completely dead, I could connect that up there, and then I could connect this to my external, and then boom, I'm charging, and I got a couple more hours of gameplay if I needed it to. So that's a possible option, but you just have to remember that it does not come with this additional USB, which I think is kind of silly, but I guess it just depends on how you're playing the system. So this USB cable that I just showed you, I actually ended up getting this with the Nintendo Pro Controller, the Nintendo Switch Pro Controller. And one of the funny things that I noticed about this Nintendo Switch Pro Controller is that it's very reminiscent of an original Xbox controller. Very similar in size and the button layout. I mean, of course, this is only got the triggers down here, and then up here it's got two triggers. It's got ZR, ZL, L, and R, and then this is just a L and a R. But you get the idea, right? But that's how I got this USB plug. So basically, to charge this controller too, I'm going to plug it into the USB-C port, and then this can connect, right to the side of the docking station here, or I could connect it to my iPhone plug and then charge it that way too. One of the things I wanted to talk about was the weight of the Nintendo Switch. So the Nintendo Switch is only 14 ounces, but when you have it in your hands, it actually feels really good. Here's the Wii U controller. Of course, this is just a screen. It receives the signal from the actual bigger console, but the Wii U actually, it feels like it's lighter, but I think maybe just the way it's proportioned. But when I put it on a scale, it's about a pound. So so it's quite a bit heavier than the actual Nintendo Switch. Other thing that I like to compare is that the screen size is actually very close. It looks like, to me, just looking at it here, it looks like the Nintendo Switch screen is bigger, but when I actually measure it, let's see, it comes out to be about 5.5. And the Wii U is about 5.5, just a little over 5.5. No, it looks like about, we'll just call it 5.5. And then, let's see, going this way, it's almost a 3 1/8 about. And over here, it's about the same. It seems like the Wii U is just a tad bit taller, but you can't really tell unless you actually put a tape measure to it. So they're very similar. Of course, the screen resolution on this is a lot lower, where this is a 720p, and this is a lot lower than that. But the other system in the overview I wanted to show was the Nintendo 3DS. So you can see it's quite a bit smaller, of course, right? But overall, and also it has a different feel. Like when I hold the controller or the gaming system, I've never really cared for the way the 3DS has always felt a little heavy in my hands. My hands usually get cramped after gaming a while. On the 2DS, you're actually holding the system up here, and actually for my hands, it actually always felt a little bit better. I didn't get as fatigued. Dropping this puppy on the scale, this is about 11 ounces. So this is coming in at 14 ounces to Switch, so it's just 3 more ounces heavier. So it's not bad. But the ergonomics and the way that the controller sits in your hand like this, my hands, I don't get as fatigued because of the weight distribution is a lot better than when it was here. It always felt like I was flopping. It's always flopping. So that was one of the interesting things that I discovered on that. So I'm bouncing all over the place, but one of the things I wanted to go back to was the power. So of course, when it's when the Nintendo Switch is in the docking station and you got the power connected to the docking station, it's going to charge that way. But if you unplug the power from there, you can just plug the power directly in the back here and connect it and charge it that way. Like I was saying before, you could pick up one of these USB-C to standard USB cables, or pick up a Pro controller and use that cable that comes with it. And then you could also charge it like that and then connect it to, you know, your cell phone USB plug or some other USB plug that has power. So that's one option there that you can do. So one of the things I also wanted to warn you about is make sure when you're putting the Switch in here to be careful. There's been reports of people getting their screen scratched, but maybe slapping it in there too, you know, wildly like I've been doing. But my screen looks decent so far. So be careful when you're doing that. So one of the things is, where do you put the games in this thing? So you actually can buy a physical game copy, cartridge, and the game will actually pop in the top up here. You can also, of course, go onto the Nintendo store and download games from there too. Here is a copy of Zelda, and if we pop her open, and actually this case reminds me a lot of the PlayStation PSP game cases. When you actually pop the game case open, wow, there's the game. That's all that's in there. It's quite small. In fact, if we compare it to a Nintendo 3DS game, you'll see it's actually smaller than the Nintendo 3DS game. Kind of interesting there. But yeah, so basically, you take this game and you're just going to pop it in the top up here. I think the name you want it to face you or face the top of the screen. Pop it in and boom, there you go. And then it's in the game. So another way to play games is to go onto the Nintendo eShop, and you can do that right here. A few weeks after the launch of the Nintendo Switch, there are not that many games out for the system yet. But some of the cool games that I did like are some of the Neo Geo games, like King of Fighters, 94 King of Fighters, and 98 King of Fighters. I think these would be good two-player games to play with your Joy-Con, so that would be fun to play. Also talking about Neo Geo, back in the day, give a shout out to people out in Aurora, Illinois. Back in the day, we used to go and try to play this game here, NAM 1975, at a place called Candy Kid in Aurora, Illinois. I remember everybody wanted to have a Neo Geo, but they were so expensive, so not many kids had it. And each game was about $100. And even now, if you check like this game on eBay, NAM 1975, you're going to find it between $100 and $400, depending if it's a cartridge or a CD. But yeah, I actually picked this game up. I don't know if I would recommend it as a game to pick up, because the controls are still kind of hard on it. If you're to look for a good two-player war game, I would more recommend this one, Metal Slug 3. All the Metal Slugs are good. It's kind of like Contra. Reminds me of the old school Contra NES game. A lot of fun.
Super Grenade! machine gun. Thank
And you also notice on here that they got some Splatoon 2. So a lot of people that are into the Splatoon are real excited about this game coming to the Nintendo Switch. This will be a really popular one when it finally gets launched. So right now they got the test fire, which is basically a demo of the game. And if you never played Splatoon before, basically it's kind of like paintball. Put on a bunch of paint everywhere, and the team that has the most paint at the end of the round wins most paint color. Another game that's kind of interesting, they brought it over from the Nintendo 3DS, was Blaster Master Zero. And I actually remember playing this, not but the original Blaster Master on the Nintendo NES. So it's very similar. Of course, they brought back some Bomberman, Super Bomberman R. This game, I don't know. Yeah, I'm still trying to fill it out, but the first play of it, I find the controls a little harder using the analog. Maybe if I use my Pro Controller, maybe it's a little bit better. And I find myself getting stuck around corners or turning the wrong way a lot of times. Or in the classic one, when I was on the normal D-pad, it was a lot easier. Zelda Breath of the Wild, I mean, this is the game to get for the system. Zelda fans, of course, are going to love it. I'm a big Zelda fan, and this game does not disappoint. It is a good game, really good game. And even for those people that are not into Zelda, maybe into a role-playing game or just some like action-adventure, this is a good game to pick up.
The history of the royal family of Hyrule is also the history of the Calamity Ganon, a primal evil that has endured over the ages.
Tells me that you have no recollection of me, however.
I think you are now ready to hear what happened 100 years ago.
Everything I've done up until now, it was all for nothing.
Here it comes!
You must save her, my daughter.
Other two-player games, 1-2 Switch is fun. Snipper Clippers is good. Got some racing game. Reminds me of one of the PSP games that came out a while back ago. The PSP handheld, PlayStation handheld system. Shovel Knight is another good game to get if you never got it for any of the other systems. Shovel Knight Treasure Trove actually includes this other game. It's called Shovel Knight Spectrum of Torment, which this is just a good game all on its own, just as a standalone. It's a great game. But if you want to spend a little bit more money, you'll get Shovel Knight, the original game, and 3 extra games, one of which is including the game that we just looked at. Includes the Shovel Knight Spectre of Torment. Some of the other things I wanted to show on the actual system here, how to do the amiibo. So you go into System Settings, and you come down, and you go to Amiibo. You could do Register Owner of Amiibo, and it'll give you a little animation of how you do your amiibos. So you're just going to do it over the right Joy-Con, tap it over the right Joy-Con, and that's how you register it. And that's how you would enable it for certain games like Zelda Breath of the Wild, and it will unlock certain things. Shovel Knight also has some amiibos that will work, unlock certain things and give you more items and treasure and such. So that's it for the games, but the other thing I wanted to show on the console itself was where to plug in your headphones. So you can actually plug the headphones up here next to the game card, and it takes like a normal type of phone jack there, and you just plug it in like so, and then away you go. And also, if I didn't show it before, that's the power and the volume. It goes fairly loud. You also have 2 trigger buttons on the left Joy-Con and 2 triggers on the right Joy-Con that are right there. It's got a cooling vent up top, and if we turn around to the back of the switch, you can see down here, this is where the speakers are. The speakers actually come out the back, so when you don't have your headphones plugged in, that's how it's getting its sound out. There's also a little flap here they can use to stand the Nintendo Switch up if you're playing like 2-player mode. We could stand it up like so. Whoop. Of course, fall over if you're not careful. So yeah, like so, bam. Now we can pop these guys off and the Joy-Cons off like so. And then we can be doing some two-player action. Having some fun. And of course, you could get more Joy-Cons if they had a 4-player game. You could do 2 more Joy-Cons and do a 4-player game. The other thing too to show you is underneath this little kickstand, this is where the micro SD card goes. And right now I have a 32 gig micro SD card. I believe I seen something online saying something like it could go up to 200 gigs. I know I bought a 120 gig micro SD card for a Raspberry Pi, and that was about $40 online. So I think the 200 gigs are fairly expensive, and I don't know why you need that much room right now, because there's really no games out. But yeah, we got options for expansion. So overall, it's a really good system. I really do enjoy it. Of course, the big game for me right now is Zelda. Hopefully there will be more games coming out. I would say if you have the Nintendo 3DS, you're gonna love this system. If you're a Nintendo fan, you're gonna love it. If you had the Nintendo Wii or the Wii U, you're gonna love it. If you've never had Nintendo before and you're used to PlayStation and Xbox One and such, might not care for it so much right now. As the game library grows, you'll probably be a little bit more attracted to the system. But overall, it's a very good system. If I had to give it a points, like 1 out of 5, 1 being the pits and 5 being awesome, probably give it a 4. I mean, it has improvements, but overall, it's really good. I think the only part that it's currently lacking is just the games. It's a hard system to get a hold of right now. It's very popular, and I'm sure it's going to do well even through Christmas and still be kind of hard to find. Hey gamers, that's all we have for you today. I hope you enjoyed the show. Till next time, keep on gaming.